matter what direction. Early, late, doesn't matter. Every time I go up Handies, it feels like someone comes and rips my soul out of my body, and I lay on the side of the trail and wonder what the hell I'm doing in this race. Um, I'd say it was probably like 2 years ago or so. Like if I could have like pushed a button and my mom came and like got me, I would have like 100% done that. Like I would have like been like, oh, please just take me off this mountain now, and I want to go home and like, yeah, just like, yeah, have some hot chocolate or something. And the way I got down was literally, I think it was like, I don't know, 7 miles to go backwards or 7 miles to go forward. And I was like, well, I might as well just go forward because it's the same if I quit and go the other way. And so, like, I 100% was going to quit when I got to the next aid station. And then, like I said earlier, it's like a life station. Like, my crew was there. They baby birded me back to life. I think it was like me and Jamil, like, we just laid on a cot and, like, I don't know. I think Jackie said she was in an aid station for 106 minutes or something. I don't know. I was probably in one of the aid stations for that long, getting like saltine crackers and sips of ginger ale. And then I just didn't quit. I just was like, I can make it one more. And that's what you do. You just like, I can make it to the next one and the next one. And then all of a sudden 2 hours later you're like, wow, I can't believe I was going to quit. So like I would say, like, utilize the aid stations. They know what they're doing. Utilize your crew. I would say like one of my biggest tips is like try to get as many people, like so many people want to do this event, bring them in and have them be a part of your team. And it's like a team. Like, yeah, you're the person who like gets the finish or whatever, but you're not getting there without the volunteers, the other athletes, the people that are a part of your crew. And so utilize all those assets and try to make it a big party. And like, and I always like, I don't need people to run with me. Like it's helpful, but it's not like necessary. But I always try to include people and have pacers as much as I can, just so I can share the course with people. And they're stoked. I'm stoked. It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. This, you know what, this may be one of those questions though that we want to hear from everyone, because it is nice to hear those stories. Shelby, were there any moments in your hard rock that just weren't so much fun?
Yes. As I said before, this race, it was the most humbling experience I've ever had. I once I hit, so we went counterclockwise, right? This past year.
Yes.
Um, After Telluride, all of that was not super fun. There's
The
that
last
saying like,
26 miles.
yeah, there's that saying it doesn't always get harder, but it did actually get harder the rest of the time. I had a lot of breathing issues, which was new for me. I'd never experienced that. And not just like being at altitude breathing problems. So for me, I think it was again just back to expectations where it was like, this is going to be a different day than I expected. And we're just going to go slower. We're going to take a lot of breaks um, and just focus on the things I could control, which were eating and drinking. I 100% agree with Mike about just like all the people, like leaning on the people and seeing people that you had seen earlier. I think that's, again, I keep harping back on that, but to me, that's what this run is all about is the community of it. And so, like you want to keep going because you want to see all of those people. And but again, it's just like let yourself be humbled. But then I think a key, and maybe I didn't do this as well, is like try to appreciate it through the hard parts because it's going to get really, really hard. And I think just like continuing to be in awe of what you're doing and where you are, and trying to focus on that when you feel absolutely miserable. But
Yeah. All right. Jackie, I know you didn't have any bad parts out there because you were just having so much fun the whole time.
I yeah, because I mean we saw each other in uh you I remember when you passed me, I was so sad because I was like, oh, okay, I mean, like I'm doing so. No, nope. And then I tanked out,
I
and then
had
you're like,
said,
peace out. Like
I
you're
had said,
fine. You're
yeah,
fine.
I had said no one should be behind me the first day, I think is what I said.
Uh-huh. And I think it was just before we got into Telluride, I was like, yeah, I'm toast.
Yeah, because I know I start slow. I try to start slow. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely but you know what? Like this is the kind of stuff you're gonna, well, actually, I guess you won't see the yellow in the aspen so much, but nonetheless, appreciate what's around you. That like when you feel like shit, which you will, just open your eyes and literally look around you. Enjoy the scenery. Like you are in the San Juans, and it is magical here. You should definitely buy one of the tour shirts. Ouray is magical, because the whole San Juan range is magical, and that's, I think, one of the ways that I got through wanting to vomit every time that like I was just exposed to the sun. Shade was my friend, but there was not any shade once you got above tree line. So day one sucked in
Mhm.
2024 for me. But last year was a lot of fun. Last year, yeah, but I spent 106 minutes in the Ouray aid station talking to friends and family. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't waste time chatting endlessly with multiple people and taking lots of pictures. Bad
Yeah. Yeah. You could definitely you need to use the aid stations, but you could definitely
idea.
spend it's possible to spend too much time there. That's actually another one of the questions that we got, though. What are your favorite and least favorite? Gosh, I hate to call it an aid station as a least favorite, but if we can be gentle in answering that part of it, favorite and least favorite aid stations, and why? Mike, is there any? What's your favorite aid station, and what's the aid station that you don't spend much time in? Maybe they're the same. I don't know.
I mean, I think my favorite aid station is always the next one. Like, and the least favorite is the one that it's too far away to get back to, probably. Um, but no, I mean, for me, like, I always volunteer at the end at the gym, and that's like for me my favorite aid station, just because like I don't know, I get to chef up food for people when they finish, and I get to see everyone come in and celebrate people as they get to the finish line. And then I help pack all the aid stations, so I see how much goes into it. Um, I'd say the one that I always am the most grateful to see is the Pole Creek one. Like I feel like that one like is just in the middle of absolute nowhere, and I always need stuff by the time I get there, and so like I'm always so happy to see those guys. And then like I mean the one that's so iconic is Kroger's. Like that's just so baller. It's just like this little tiny like ledge that people are hanging out on to help us out. And so like those ones really stick out. But like that being said, they're all special. I mean, like coming into the big ones in the towns is awesome, just because like you can see so many more people, and like the town is all stoked for everyone to come in. And yeah, I mean, they're all great. I don't really have one that I don't like. Yeah.
Yeah. The only one that I would say, and it's not that I don't like it, but the only one that feels different to me is Burroughs Park, because my first few Hard Rocks there was not an aid station there. And now if I spend any time at all at Burroughs, I have friends that will give me a hard time because they say, why did you spend 10 minutes there? That didn't even used to be an aid station. Why are you doing that? And it's because they're so friendly, they're so nice, and the food is good, and there's shade, and there's sunscreen, and there's other stuff that I need.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
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 Shelby, we had somebody that asked a question that I think is a good one, especially since you did your first Hard Rock this last year. Apart from the altitude, which we've already talked about, what do you think is one of the biggest challenges that can catch runners off guard? You were prepared for the altitude to be an issue, but was there anything else that was a big problem or a challenge that you hadn't expected?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I think a few. we've addressed it a few times, but people's stomachs will turn at altitude. And I don't think that's a surprise, but I do think it's something you definitely need to wrap your head around and have like an A plan, a B plan, a C plan. Because especially if you are coming from sea level and it's not something you can practice as much, like it's probably going to go a little funky. You definitely have different hydration needs. You have different elevation needs. If you are not used to the dry climate of Colorado, your sweat just dries right off of you. So you're still sweating, but you're not feeling it. And so your sodium needs might be different. So I think just kind of thinking through a lot of that and planning and then finding ways like you may not want to eat up high. So can you do more liquid nutrition? Um, I was really lucky. I don't know, not everyone will have the chance to do this, but I came out in May and did quad rock in preparation for Hardrock and had my stomach go way, 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 way south. And so that gave me an opportunity to kind of think about what else I could try, what I could change. Um, I know Chris talked about carrying Tums, like you can carry, whether it's little ginger chews or other things that can kind of help settle your stomach. But I really think thinking through that stuff. And then also just a reminder that it is super dry. You're at really high elevation, so you're going to need more hydration than you would take other places. And so, again, just planning that in. But I think those are big ones.
Those are big ones, yeah. Um, Jackie, you're a absolute solid veteran now, a true hard rocker, as we used to say. You've gone
Both directions.
around in both directions, but I'm wondering. Someone asked, "What do you wish a veteran runner would have emphasized before you ran your first hard rock?" Is there something that you realized during that first one that, oh, they didn't tell me about this, or maybe they did, and maybe I didn't listen. Maybe it wasn't pushed on me
I
as
think
much.
that
What's
would have
that
been
thing?
more of it because I definitely hung out with Howie many times before my first hard rock and got to hear, 10 years of stories uh and have heard from you as well. But like I think listening in on like the what challenges like I live here and my stomach turned not because of the elevation, because it was hot as all get up in the sun. And that
Mhm.
was something that I just hadn't like we hadn't had that many hot days that like I had necessarily been able to get out on that were like the bluebird sky days that there's not a cloud in our sky and there's no escaping it. And so I struggled on day one in 2024 with that. So I think that's one of those how he had a story about pushing himself too hard on a really bluebird sky day. And I just kind of like my brain glazed over that and was like, oh no, like the harder parts of the course, that's good. Yeah, nope. Sometimes it's just the basics, back to the basics. So that was, I think, for me, a little bit of a shock, but I know I know he mentioned it. It was just a matter of not retaining the information or, necessarily my brain registering that it's being all that important. So
Yep.
that was that was my big shock because day two we had nice shady skies and I I was smiling as we went at Pandy's. And people were like, "We haven't seen any runners that are smiling." Yes, because it's shady. Do you see this? There's not direct sun on me. I'm loving life again. My legs are fine. So yeah, that definitely I think can do a number. But
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Um, Thank you. Thank you. Mike, you mentioned earlier, you mentioned that after running Hard Rock, you now wear gaiters a lot more often than you did. For people that are coming to do Hard Rock the first time, are there any other pieces of gear or equipment that they might not have used or thought about in their qualifiers or in other events, but that you think are important to have for Hard Rock?
I mean, I think having a hat is always helpful. Like,
Mhm.
that you might not like. You were talking about how you just need to knock the sun down. I think like a buff is always handy too. Uh, I feel like some people aren't like necessarily like buff people, but it is kind of helpful to have. Um, I think like having the space blanket, like most of the time, like you don't really need that. But like if you get caught above tree line and you twist your ankle or something and you're not moving fast, you just need to be safe. So having something like that is a big deal. Um, and then I think like this is something for later in the day, but like actually knowing how to use your headlamp and how to change batteries because you're going to be going a lot slower than most other races. So like knowing how to do it, like when it's especially if you get hail or cold, like it'll just knock the battery life down. So like carrying maybe a spare battery or two spare batteries, whereas if you're flatland, East Coast, or even West Coast, where it's just super runnable and you're moving fast, like you might not even have to change a battery. And sometimes I'll actually just bring two in case you fall and like break one. So just being, doubly prepared. I think there's some like Navy SEAL, like, I don't know, saying is like two is one and one is none. But like, I feel like you need to be redundant in some of that stuff where other races the consequences aren't as bad if you're not one of the things you mentioned the Tums, but I also carry um like medicine, like a medicine like pill pouch, just like a Ziploc full of like, I don't know, I know you're not supposed to, but whatever, Advil and like Tylenol and like stuff like that. And so like um yeah, just like you don't want to get caught out. And luckily I've done races like Barkley where no one's coming. Like Hardrock will actually come and get you, but like you don't want to be put in that position. The other thing that is super handy, and like I don't know if I do it every time, but like maybe you get the search and rescue insurance, like that kind of stuff. Like it
COSAR.
doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Like I think that might even be included with your entry, but like um I think I just paid for it. It's not that much and it's super worth it.
Yeah.
And
Good
if you're
point.
coming out early or anything, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
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 Good point. Um, Shelby, somebody asked, does anything truly frighten you about the route, such as falling off the trail where there's exposure, getting caught in lightning, encountering big animals like mountain lions, crossing a storm-swollen river? I'm starting to get frightened just reading this,
Right.
or something else. And if so, how did you manage your fears?
Well, we got our big animal encounter out of the way during one of our Camp Hardrock hikes where we got charged by a moose.
Yeah, yeah, there was
Ooh.
that. There was that.
I'm terrified of lightning, and actually, I got super lucky because we had no lightning last year, which is crazy. But I think it was preparing for that was thinking through like what am I going to do when it happens, and I think Hard Rock is one of those races where you do need to think a lot about all of these different things. Um, I'm not fearful of heights, but doing Bear Creek in the day and then running down it in the night was an experience because there are a lot of places that you can fall to your death. Um, but I think this is a question that might come up later too. So I'm sorry to touch on it, but someone had touched on like what are parts of the course you would cover, and I think for me, like trying to cover some of that of what I'll run at nighttime during the daytime, just so I had some familiarity with it and it made me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Mhm.
So that's one way just to kind of like um, handle fear. I also was really afraid of being cold, like getting super, super cold and being stuck out there. So I think again, just carrying those like different layers, um, the gloves, the extra jacket, and one thing I'll say on that is there's stuff you can always carry in your pack. But then there's stuff that like I changed out for like my nighttime always carrying in my pack. So I went a slightly heavier jacket, or maybe, thicker gloves or things like that. So just kind of preparing for those things that you are afraid of, because then if they happen, are you're ready.
Yeah,
Hot hands at night.
Yeah.
good tips. Good tips. Um, Jackie, somebody this is was in our chat here asking for those that have run in both directions, what would you find to be the unique challenges of the clockwise route? So going back the way you went for your first Hard Rock, what are some unique challenges about the direction we're going this year?
Hmm, going down Grant Swamp Pass, depending on what the rocks look like, scree skiing may be an option or it may not be an option.
Mhm.
And I think I went out and I did Virginia, so to Kroger aid station, the week before the race in 2024, and there was snow on all of the aspects going up. And we just brought micro spikes, and Tara and I went up, did it. 1 week later, there was so much of a change in um the snow melt that I was kicking myself that I was like, I should have come out here later on in the week because of how just variable like our weather and the heat at that time of year is and what it can impact, which who knows, we might not have any snow this year if things keep looking the way they do right now. But yeah, that was, I think those were the two most challenging parts that I can identify in this direction, I would say, for
Great,
sure.
great.
Yeah.
Um, so we're just about out of time. We did have somebody that asked a question about tips for a first-time Hard Rock crew. We are going to be doing a separate Zoom session to talk about crewing and talk about aid stations. So stay tuned. We will get to those things. But what I'd like to do is go around for our panelists one more time and just ask each of you if there's something that we haven't said yet, what is something that you want to tell this group? Now, some of these folks here, again, I'm looking at some faces of people that have been around Hard Rock longer than I have, but for people that are listening to this, watching this later, their first Hard Rock, what's something that you want to tell them, Mike?
Um, I'd say try to experience as much as possible. Like don't don't skip the things. Try to embrace all the aspects of it. I would say if you get a chance, volunteer um, doing something. I love helping with the aid stations with Brad and the team, um, and just like there's also the depletion mile. I would say like a plug for the thing that I created, but like after the race, that's super fun to do. So like that's usually before the awards on Sunday. So like I'll be on the PCT this year while you guys are having fun at Hard Rock, but I'll be thinking of you and I'll try to do a fast mile for everybody that's out there. But yeah, that's a really fun event. But like take advantage of it. Make sure if you can have as many people be a part of your team as possible. Give back to the community. Like this is a chance to support Silverton and the people of Southwest Colorado. And so, buy a t-shirt, eat at the restaurants, give back to the community, shop at the grocery store. Yeah, this is our chance to help the community and do something really cool. Yeah, in the meantime.
Good, good, good advice. Shelby, what's something that you want to tell everybody that's doing their first Hard Rock this year?
Um, I mean, have fun. And the other thing I think is I agree with Mike with like involve your crew, but also for those of you that have families, like Hard Rock is such a family friendly experience. So I came out ahead of time with my three kids and we took part in everything. Props to the Deception Mile. My son Bodie won a sweet pair of Tiva kicks at the end of that. Um, but just like take part, Hard Rock puts on so much stuff in the week leading up. There's coffees, there's all kinds of different events, there's seminars, talks, all kinds of stuff. So just take part in everything. And then huge plug to all of the aid station volunteers are super, super awesome. So just one more is like if you don't have a lot of people coming with you, you're good. Like the people at the aid stations have you covered, and like there will be such a crew of people around you, even if you don't have a group with you.
Great. Jackie, what do you want to tell people doing their first hard rock?
I love that. I like say thank you to the volunteers because they do an amazing job. They literally treat you like family and will take care of you. If you have crew, you don't need to take pictures, but have your crew and or like pacers take pictures of you out here because it's stunning. And those are pictures that you can go back and look at later on and really like I think it's a great visual way to like trigger those really positive memories. So yeah, just take time during your run though and look around you because it's insanely beautiful out here and enjoy yourselves.
Yeah. Jackie, that's incredible advice. I'm reminded I've been fortunate enough to get into hard rock a bunch of times. And when I was on my way to finishing my 15th hard rock, I had a magical experience. I was with Scotty Mills, who was on his way to finishing his 10th. We were together up on Putnam in the middle of the second night. Um,
Look
uh,
up. Look up.
Scotty's pacer, BJ was leading our way, and Tina Yuri was my pacer. Tina's here, and she stopped us and she said, "Everyone, just stop for a second, turn off your headlamp,
Yep.
look at the stars." And we did, and it was incredible. And on my ceiling in the room that I'm in right now is a poster that is of the stars from that night above Silverton, Colorado. It was a magical moment, and they're going to be happening out there for 100 miles for everybody. So pause and wait for your magical moment. Look for your magical moment. Savor your magical moment, and then you'll remember it forever. Thank you, Jackie and Mike and Shelby. Thank you for being here. Dan, thanks for helping us make this happen. Everybody that's been here and participated in the chat, we really do appreciate you. And remember, whether you are wearing a number on your chest in Silverton during Hard Rock, or if you're there volunteering, whatever you're doing, Hard Rockers belong in Silverton, Colorado in the summer. And so we'll see you in Silverton. Take care.
All right, bye guys. Good luck
Bye.
with your training. Sorry I missed it this year. Bye.
We'll miss you, Mike, for
We'll miss
sure.
you. Yeah, cooking our burgers at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly. Well, come out to you guys can come out and join on the PCT. I'll need pacers.
Some of us will be busy at Hard Rock, but
Yeah.
afterwards,
After
maybe
after we
Yeah.
invite us
finish,
in.
maybe if you're still